my desire is to help another entrepreneur out there that may be thinking about expansion and growth in their business, and knowing all of the options that are actually available to you versus just assuming that this is the next right step based on what you're seeing on social media. What's up, fam? Welcome back to the channel. You already know it's your girl Fee here. So today we are actually going to be talking about what made me decide to go from a warehouse of my own to a fulfillment center here in the Dallas area. Now, a lot of you may not know, especially if this is one of the first times that you've come across meeting me, I am the owner of Gold Mine & Cocoa. We are an online stationery and lifestyle brand. And so I have ran that company for about 7 years now. It is quite the journey. I'll have to fill you in as we go on what the journey has been like. But within the last 4 years, I ran my own warehouse in Memphis, Tennessee. A 5,000 square foot warehouse. At one point we were 8,000, but then with the economy shifts, we went back down to 5,000. Around 2020 is when I secured the warehouse. And at the time, it was the best decision for my business. So I started in my dining room with just myself, a baby on my hip, breastfeeding, fulfilling orders, talking to the GMs, you name it, I was doing it all. I'm talking staying up till 2, 3 in the morning, going to sleep for an hour or two, turning around, waking up and doing it all again. After a year, I got my first assistant, who was actually my neighbor, Ju-A. She stayed with me all the way through our move. So she was with me for almost 6 years. And we worked in my dining room until it got too big and we needed to get an office space. So my first and only office space was 600 square feet. And we made that work for about another year. Bree came on board. And so she was with us until we moved. She was with us for 5 years. Bree came on board, and then in May of 2020, I found a warehouse. I found one that was affordable. It felt right. It was in proximity of where all of us live, so we all only had to drive maybe 7 to 10 minutes down the street to get to the warehouse, all of those things. And it was mine. I had the freedom to build it out the way that I saw fit, which I don't recommend, but we'll get more into that. It was mine. I had the freedom to build it out. You know, the landlord didn't send me at that time through loops, jumps, and hoops to get the warehouse. And so, yeah, I decided it was the right move for us. At the time, I did not even know that 3PL and fulfillment were an option. You would think, though, that I would have, because one of my jobs, one of my many jobs, I used to work at Technicolor back in the day as a security clerk. So basically I would dock in all of the trucks that were coming from the dock door. You would think that I would have been aware that fulfillment centers exist, or maybe I just assumed they only existed for large companies and not for small businesses such as myself. So I had no idea about owning or running or being a part of a fulfillment center. I just assumed that the next step in business was a warehouse. I owned the warehouse, not owned it, sorry. I leased the warehouse for 4 years up until we decided to move. So fast forward. The short version is we decided to move to a fulfillment center because the prices to get a warehouse in Texas were just too doggone high. But there's so much more to this story than just the prices being high, okay? And we're gonna get into all of the things because my desire is to help another entrepreneur out there that may be thinking about expansion and growth in their business, and knowing all of the options that are actually available to you versus just assuming that this is the next right step based on what you're seeing on social media. The first thing that I want to discuss are the benefits and the limitations when it comes to running your own warehouse. The first limitation that I'll say is that I did not own it, I leased it. And with leasing, it's just like any other landlord. You are kind of at their beck and call, right? You can put in an order for changing the lights, fixing the air, whatever the case may be, but they're gonna do it when they wanna do it. That's just how landlords work. That for me was a con. I'll admit I did not have the best landlord, but I didn't have the worst. In a sense, he didn't bother us at all. But also, he was never in a rush to fix anything. He was never in a rush to do what he said he was going to do, to the point that I had to get my dad involved. And it felt more like he didn't respect me as a woman, and he respected my dad more. So when my dad would call and have conversations with him, all of a sudden things would start to get fixed. And even then, he wouldn't send a legit, person out there, a licensed person. He would send someone, as my dad would call it, a tree mechanic, or whatever the case may be, somebody that sits under the tree waiting for a job. So basically things were always breaking down, and because I didn't own it, right, that would cause issues for us too. I put over $50,000 into a building that I did not own, and I will never suggest that to anybody out there that is looking to get their own warehouse space. Never put money in something that you don't own, because at the end of it, it's money that you can't get back. And I could have done so much more with $50,000, but at the time I was young, I was naive, I didn't know any better. There was no blueprint, and I knew that I wanted for the building to be up to par to my standards, to be nice for the employees that would eventually work there and all of that. So yeah, I put $50,000 into a building that I did not own. Those were definitely the cons. Some of the pros of having my own warehouse was that, we could be up there from sunup to sundown. If we were behind on orders, me, my husband, whoever, we could always work as long as we wanted to. We have full control of inventory. I was able to create things in-house, as far as the stickers, as far as notepads, just anything that I want to create, I was able to do it in-house. I was buying machines, buying racks. I was able to kind of create a content space for myself within the warehouse. There were a lot of good things that came out of it as well. We grew as a company. We hired employees. We were able to employ other people. All of those things happened while at that warehouse. And it was a great experience, but it also was definitely a lesson learned, for sure. And it's something that honestly I'll probably never do again. So when we decided to move to Dallas, we were met with quite a few dilemmas. One of those dilemmas being none of the employees were coming. There was the exception that Bree may or may not come, but beyond that, nobody else was coming. So that meant if we got a warehouse, it was just going to be me and my husband running that warehouse day in and day out until we found another employee, or two or three, or whatever the case may be. Also, Dallas is such a big metroplex. Finding a warehouse that was convenient as far as distance was not an easy feat. And anything that was around us was going to be uber expensive. So we actually did initially look for a warehouse here in Dallas, but the one that we liked, they wanted like $9,000 a month for the space, for the same square footage I had in Memphis, where I was paying less than half of that. So it just was not financially feasible to make such a big decision to, get another warehouse, be under another landlord, and all of those different things that we had experienced. But again, we didn't really know what other options were available to us at that time. Fortunately for me, my graphic designer recommended a fulfillment center, and she knew of another company that was using a fulfillment center that was similar to ours, and she recommended this company to us. And so I called them up. I just called them up. I wanted more information. I wanted to see pricing wise, was it better? How did they run? All those things. How fast could they process our orders? Because one thing I can tell you is I hate packing orders. There's nothing else that I hate more than packing orders. And I've learned that over the years, right? Like when I first started out, you don't think about it. You're just in the trenches. You're hustling. You're doing whatever you got to do. But as you grow and you're managing more people and you're delegating more, you're doing all of these things, it becomes more of a chore to like pack orders and all of that stuff. And you just feel like your time could be better use elsewhere, and it's just frustrating. It's a headache, and everybody pretty much knew Felicia might pack 3 to 5, but by the time she got to order number 6, I had mentally checked out. And so I genuinely hated packing orders. Also, I don't personally feel like having a warehouse was taking a toll on my marriage and my home life, but I do feel like it definitely impacted us because we spent so much time at the warehouse. We would spend 12, 16, 18 hours a day at the warehouse. It made it hard for us to be parents. It made it hard for us to spend time together, quality time together, where the business wasn't involved. It just made everything so much harder because everything was riding on us. So when moving out here to Dallas, once the fulfillment center was suggested, it definitely piqued my interest because my husband is like a worker bee. He is the guy that if he says he's going to do it, he's going to get it done. He doesn't care how long it takes. And I miss my husband. I had finally gotten to the point in business where I was comfortable with like walking away when I was tired, and I wanted him to have those same freedoms. And I just really miss spending time with him. And so it really piqued my interest to have a fulfillment center, not to mention that even though the warehouse that I wanted was like $9,000 a month, we were in negotiations trying to secure that warehouse, and they wouldn't come down on the price. So they almost forced me into looking at the fulfillment center. So when I went to the fulfillment center, what was really great was, one, they were extremely friendly. That was number one, was like, oh my gosh, these people are so nice. This is like a breath of fresh air, right? The second thing was that they could process orders way faster than we could ever process orders. Because when it's you and your spouse and an employee or two, you know, your friends, your family, it's not the same as outsourcing it, where they have no attachment to this product. They, you know, don't care who ordered what, or including extra things for this particular person, and all of the little nuanced things that we would do because it was us. It was more personal for us. They were just pick the order, package, ship it out. And to know that they could process orders so much faster than we could was definitely a bonus for me, because I knew that my customers were fatigued with the waiting. And I had no real resolution on how to fix it. We didn't have a barcode system. We didn't have, you know, a checks and balances system. We were doing everything super manual. And I knew that if we kept going down this route, the business probably wouldn't last much longer, because we would lose retention with our customers. And I didn't want that. I wanted to save as many customers as I could. And it had gotten bad. Like, we had just gotten swamped, and it was so hard to recover. The economy was bad, so people weren't ordering as much, which slowed down inventory. It slowed down shipping. It slowed down order processing. I started having to let employees go. Like, we went through a lot. So the fulfillment center was kind of like the tunnel at the end, right? Like, you could see the light. And after talking to them and talking to them about their prices and all of that, I was sold. I was 100% sold that this was the move that we needed to make. I definitely was concerned though, like, what is life gonna look like once we do this? Because so much of our life was involved with the warehouse. But I wanted to take the risk. I wanted to try, jump out there and see what was gonna happen. And now that we are 90 days out from being at the fulfillment center, it was the best decision that I could have ever made for our business. Before we dive into all of the good things that have happened at the fulfillment center, and I'm even gonna tell you some of the bad, a lot of people have asked, why Dallas? What made you move to Dallas? And honestly, the number one reason was, with all of the traveling that I have been doing over the past few years, when I would land in Dallas, I felt the most joyful. I felt at peace. I felt calm. I felt happiness like I never felt before. I felt like a kid again. Like I could explore and play and discover new things. And that for me was something that I hadn't felt in so long. And I wanted to always have that feeling as much as possible. I knew that by being in Dallas, I would be in closer proximity to movers and groovers, to other entrepreneurs that were building their businesses. And I'm someone that values a good network. I value community. And so I knew that I needed to be around other entrepreneurs that were doing way better than me, so that I could learn something from them. That was really important for me. And then lastly, I really just wanted our kids to have a better life. I love Memphis. Memphis will always be my home. I'm a 901 girl to the day I die. But I saw the trajectory of Memphis and the direction that it's currently going in. And I want my son and my daughter to have a good life. I want them to have experiences that they may not necessarily have gotten the opportunity to have in Memphis. And I wanted to be around people that were living the same lives as us, having the same value system as we have. And I knew that I could get that in Dallas. What has transpired at the fulfillment center since we moved? Well, first off, the first mistake they made was they shipped the wrong boxes to customers. That was probably the first moment where I was like, I'm not sure about this, right? We definitely had to figure out all the kinks in their new system, and figuring out how to communicate with them was probably the most challenging part, because I felt like they had companies that were already big and already coming to them with certain systems in place, that they kind of forgot that we were like new and that we had no idea what was going on. And so we took plenty of visits face to face to the fulfillment center to get clarity and to gain understanding. But by the end of these 90 days, I will say that things have definitely made a turnaround. That was the only time that they sent the wrong boxes out, and they quickly rectified it. You know, they definitely did their job at taking accountability, acknowledging what happened, telling me the part that I had a role in, because, you know, it's never one-sided. And they had patience. They had patience with us, and that was really important, because I was lost. Okay, I was lost. I was frustrated. Thank God for my husband, because if he was not the communicator, if he, you know, was not as patient as he is with people, it probably would have went left, because I am definitely somebody that's like, find me a solution, find it fast. And so that was one of the experiences where I definitely was not sure about the fulfillment center. But after a few conversations and a few trainings, we were able to figure out what the issue was, get it fixed. And now the feedback from customers has been phenomenal. Like, I knew that just by being able to get their order shipped within 1 to 2 days was going to be a huge adjustment and a big boost for our business. But love seeing the feedback. Like, that's something that's always been really important to me, is how does the customer feel? Is the customer happy? Does the customer want to buy again? Like, those are questions that I'm constantly asking. And so seeing all of the feedback from the customers, seeing their responses when I'm on live, and hearing them say, like, I love that y'all have moved to Dallas, I love the new fulfillment center, has been amazing. The thing that I feel like I did not expect, but I'm really, really grateful for, is I did not expect the amount of time freedom that I would get back. I felt like I knew that there would be some time freedom, but y'all, I just didn't realize how much of our lives we had given to running our own warehouse over the past 4 years. Now that we have this fulfillment center, they handle all the operations. They handle the incoming shipments. They handle, you know, sending shipments out. They handle counting inventory. They handle all of those things. My husband, he now runs the operation, so he does all of the communication with them to ensure that things are coming in and going out, gaining clarity like that. He talks to our customer service if there are any issues that needs to be addressed, or any orders that need to be sent out again. Like, he does all of those things as well. So now my job is simply to be the face of the brand, right? Marketing has always been my thing. So marketing, and then just the RGA, so the revenue generating activities, emails, copy, all of the things that I love are the things that I'm doing now. without all of the stress. The other part of moving to a fulfillment center that has been amazing was that I don't have to manage people anymore. Girl, let me tell you. Managing people sucks. There's no other way to put it. I do not enjoy managing other people. As a self-starter, I prefer people who are self-starters. I love having a staff. I love having an employee, but I do not enjoy hand-holding. I do not enjoy just that general management of other people. And I realized by doing this and having my own warehouse, I had my experience with what it was like to manage, up to 10 different employees and then 6, 7 overseas. And I can tell you guys, it was a lot. You're dealing with emotions, you're dealing with different life experiences and personal issues, you're dealing with moods and emotions, and you're dealing with employee relationships. Like, there's so many things that take you away from the actual work that you enjoy doing when it comes to managing other people. And by having this fulfillment center, I don't really have to do that anymore. And should I decide to hire down the line, I'm only going to hire self-sufficient people. I'm only going to hire self-starters. I'm only going to hire people that want to own the position that they have. And preferably, we're going to hire with the intent to sell, right? So we want to put CMOs in place, CFOs, COOs. We want to put marketing execs in place, like those level of employees in place. I no longer want to just manage a bunch of people all at once. It was way too much for me. It really just mentally, I was just done. I was stressed out all the time. And if you're a giver like me, it's especially hard because you suck at having hard conversations. Instead of just saying what you need directly and being done with it, you pacify and you pacify and you pacify until you explode, right? And so I just recognize that I'm a good CEO. I'm a great entrepreneur. I am not a good manager. And that's something that I had to be honest with myself about, is I am not a good manager. You have to be self-sufficient because, yeah, it just sucks. It just sucks. Some of the other benefits of moving to the fulfillment center is that our inventory is more accurate. Love that for me because that means what? We get to make more money. Did I say I don't have to manage people again? Yeah. I don't have to care about those people's emotions at the fulfillment center. I don't have to care about how they feel. I don't have to care about how their day went. I don't have to be concerned with them. I don't even have to know them. All I know is that they're fulfilling the orders, the customers are happy, I pay my invoice once a month. That's probably the other benefit of having a fulfillment center is if we're talking finances. Moving to the fulfillment center meant that, like, when we had our own warehouse, we had to pay for shipping right then and there every time we sent an order. So it really affects your cash flow. Well, with moving to the fulfillment center, we get one bill a month and we pay one bill at one time overall a month. It includes what they charge us for picking and packing, and it includes all of the shipping fees, all of that, and you have no more overhead. So I probably pay, let's see, just in the warehouse, utilities, staying on water bill, internet bill, all of that a month, I was paying roughly $6,000 to have the warehouse by myself. That was not including labor. So labor for me on average was around $25,000 to $30,000 a month. So you add $6,000 to that. So it's about $36,000 a month that I was spending in having employees as well as having the overhead and all of that. I think when my bill came in this month, it was $5,600. Child, don't ever ask me to get a warehouse ever again. Okay. And I don't have to deal with the crusty, dusty landlord, right? Like, there are so many benefits to moving to a fulfillment center, and I definitely, want people to know, like, you have options and their buy-in is not large. Like, I believe my minimum to spend with them a month is $1,000. So even if you don't hit $1,000, you know that your bill is $1,000 every single month, so $12,000 a year. Depends on the size of your business, right? For somebody that is trying to figure out, they're in that growing phase, whether or not they're going warehouse or fulfillment, I believe it all depends on personal preference. If you're somebody that's more handmade, more apothecary, things like that, you probably need a storage facility. You probably want to ensure that the packaging is up to par and up to your standards and all of that. So yeah, you can look into a warehouse. Just make sure that your prices reflect that. But if you're somebody like me that is more into import export, and once it comes in, you're just shipping it right back out, I would say 100% go fulfillment all the way. Save that money, build some profit in your business, and also have the peace of mind that you so desperately need. I'll never go back to a warehouse. At least that's not my intention. I am planning to sell this company. That is my goal. I'm planning to build it, to sell it, and I want to sell it to where whoever takes it can take the torch and keep running with it. That is my goal. I don't want to sell my business and they are confused about what system does what, how do they go left, right, front, back, side to side. I want my business to be enticing enough to get the top dollar amount for it. Some key things that I wish I would have known when moving to a fulfillment center is definitely learning that their system is not your system, right? 9 times out of 10, as a small business owner who's doing it on your own, you have not implemented half of the systems that they're probably using, and it may feel like it's going over your head. Communicate in advance that this is new to you, you don't know what you're doing, and as long as they are patient with you, you're willing to figure it out and learn how to operate with their system. You're definitely going to have to change stuff in your business. We started having to put barcodes on all of our products. That was something that we never did before. But for the fulfillment center, they don't care about the product. They don't care that it's a cassette tape or whatever the case may be. They're just trying to scan the right barcode and get it out. And because of that, our orders are 100% accurate. Shrinkage is pretty much non-existent, which is amazing. We had a ton of shrinkage when I was running my own warehouse. So we have 0 shrinkage. Our fulfillment fees are 1/4 of the cost that it was back when I was running my own warehouse. So there's definitely a lot to consider, and it really just depends on the size of your business. Now, I would say if you are doing relatively well on your own, like your overhead costs are low, weigh the pros and cons of it. You may not yet need to move to a fulfillment center if you're not making a certain amount of money. And I would say if you're not making $30,000 to $40,000 in your business a month, I would probably hold off on getting a fulfillment center, because when we first moved everything over, our first bill was $26,000. But that was because we had to pay all of the shipping fees, all of the initial barcoding fees. Like, there were a lot of initial fees to get us set up and running. And they really, really helped us, like shipping out current orders that need to go out. We packed them, but we didn't get to ship them before the move. So there were just a lot of fees that occurred in the beginning. But our first official bill, like being at the fulfillment center, for over 30 days without moving into it, the bill was only $5,600. So it's definitely something to look at. It's definitely an option that is available for you. And I have been running around town telling everybody, get a fulfillment center, get a fulfillment center, go to a 3PL, go to a 3PL. Because the time freedom is worth gold. There's nothing more valuable than being able to manage your time. And I will never, ever take for granted this season of life that I have right now, where I am able to wake up at 4:30 in the morning, work, do what I need to do, finish up by 11 o'clock, and then I have the rest of the day to myself. That is something that I have prayed for. It's something that I definitely planned for, and I believe that being at the fulfillment center has helped me do that. So I would encourage you that if you are in that season where you're just trying to figure out what is the next look like for you, look into a fulfillment center if you hadn't already. I definitely would encourage you to try to find one that is within your area, within your region, because it has been profound for us being able to jump in the car, drive 25-30 minutes out and go talk to them face to face. Whereas had we gone with a fulfillment center that was out of state, it would have been much harder to rectify, you know, little things such as like getting them to understand which sub box switch, you know, how our products move and all of that. It would have been much harder. I probably would have been on a plane every other week trying to go and get these things done, especially within the next 90 days. So it has definitely been beneficial having the fulfillment center in our area, for sure. So yeah, we moved to a fulfillment center and I will never look back, ever. And I definitely have to thank our customers because they have weathered the storms with your girl, okay? We have gone through some transitions and some hills and some valleys like none before, and it has been a juggling act for sure. But I am grateful for the customers that saw the intention, saw my heart, saw where I desired to get us to go, and were willing to stick around while I figured it out. I definitely lost some customers along the way that I feel I wouldn't have lost had I known about a fulfillment center long before. I definitely feel that 100% because at the end of the day, people want their stuff now. They don't like to wait, and I fully 100% understand that. And so if there was anything that has been the biggest takeaway, it's just customer satisfaction, making sure that we remain customer centric. And let me tell you, those customers getting those shipping notifications the same day they order, the next day they order, has been phenomenal when it comes to our bottom line and generating sales in our business. So thank you to those customers. I appreciate you guys so much. I love all of you. And if you have any questions in regards to warehousing, fulfillment, business growth, logistics, just any of those questions, drop them down in the comments. Let me know what questions you have. I definitely want to know if you guys want to hear more about business and all of those things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, all of the things. And I will see you guys on the next video. Okay? Bye.